Hey friend, my name is Bryce Henson, CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp and one of your co-hosts here at the Fit Body Inside Look. Now this show is for our franchise partners and for those who are interested in joining our brand, where we execute meaningful interviews with our franchise partners, internal HQ team, coaches and clients to be able to provide you more insight and to get more acquainted with our brand and also to showcase the business opportunity available. Thanks so much and enjoy the episode. Hey, welcome back, friends, to another amazing episode of the Fit Body Inside Look. I have a dear friend, a fellow franchise partner, someone that I've known for over 10 years now, which is absolutely incredible. Her name's Marlene Zakarian. Marlene, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Alrighty, well, we've been friends, for a solid decade, or at least close to that. What year did you join the brand as a franchise partner?
Yeah, so Mike and I joined Fit Body Bootcamp in 2016 when we were 23 years old.
Look at that. And who is Mike, by the way?
Mike is my husband. We've been married for 2 years, but together for 14. So it took him 10 years to finally propose.
Not call him out or anything. Well, I want to dive into your backstory, but since we teed up when you first entered the brand, which is pretty incredible, I will never forget meeting both of you. And this, what year was this, did you say?
2016.
16.
Yeah.
So it was probably like that year, 2016 or early 2017. And at that period of time, I had been in the brand as a franchise partner before getting involved in the HQ for about 4 years. In 2012, in November is when we launched our doors. So I had about 4 years of track record in the brand and, was feeling good in terms of my business ownership, my knowledge. I still have a white bed mentality till this day, have a lot to learn. But I was feeling good in terms of the trajectory. And I'll never forget, we went to this meetup of Southern California owners just to mastermind, mind share. And I remember meeting both you and Mike, your husband, and both of you were just asking these like super high level questions. And I'm thinking to myself, I turned to John Eckerman, him and his wife, Kara, have been in the brand for 13 years at the time of this recording. And I turned to John, I'm like, who are these? Like young, couple, like super dialed in. And then that's when John had told me that you're both Bedros Keuilian, my business partner and the founder of Fit Body Bootcamp's niece and nephew. And that was a pretty cool moment. And I always like to share that story because it shows the humility, but also too the growth and the mentorship that you've had since an early age. So I wanted to acknowledge you first and foremost for that. Before you joined Fit Body Bootcamp as a franchise partner, give us a backstory. Like, where'd you grow up and what was your family like? Were you athletic? How did you learn about fitness and all that?
Yeah, so I grew up in Tustin, California, not too far from here, Orange County, and I am one of four.
Okay.
And I think, like most parents that come to America to have this American dream, that was my parents. And I was actually the firstborn in United States. So I was actually kind of perceived as this like golden ticket girl that had this like birth certificate that nobody else had, which was pretty funny. But that kind of led to me having higher standards for myself because I always heard my parents talk about like, oh, she was born here. Like those conversations happened.
Kind of like a high expectation.
Yeah. So I kind of had that ingrained or instilled in me at a very young age that I was going to be someone that was going to be and do well. So with that, I took that with my academics, with my my sports. I grew up athletic, so with that, I got a job early on at 15 years old, and I took it upon myself to help provide for the family. So I was paying bills at that age as well because we obviously didn't grow up in a we didn't grow up in a well-off family situation.
Well, your immigrant edge story,
yes,
right? Like your parents come from Mexico.
Yep.
So your parents coming from Mexico, come to California, just scraping by, learning English.
Yep.
I mean, I have so much respect for that story. And there you were, firstborn, basically hustling and contributing.
Yep, totally. So then that kind of led me to having some money at 15 years old. And the first thing I did was get a Bally Total Fitness gym membership. And then from then on, I just loved the way it made me feel. So I used that as an outlet to do something for myself because I was so focused on my family.
Yeah.
So I think that fitness was just a good way for me to focus on myself. And so, yeah.
And so we'll dive into a little bit, just so I have context. You have Michelle as your younger sister, and then you have two brothers, correct?
Yep.
And you're the oldest.
So I have two older brothers. They were both born in Mexico, and I'm number 3, oopsie baby, and then my sister who's 4 years younger than I am.
Got it. And I knew your brothers actually were older than you, but I feel as if you, similar to me, I'm the firstborn, have this like firstborn kind of like energy about you.
Yeah.
Like hustler, go-getter, like you care for obviously Michelle and your siblings as well. Would that be fair to say, at least from your mentality?
I think so. Just if you if you were to kind of know my brother's backstory, I would probably be the one that has the bigger hand on maturity,
Yeah.
in that sense. And I think it comes from me being held into this really high pedestal from being born here, which is interesting.
Interesting. But I would imagine then your first language, I know this, and by the way, friends, sometimes I'm leading the witness here. Marlene and I have been friends for over a decade here, but or close to at least. But you speak fluent Spanish?
I do.
And that was your first language?
Yep, first language. So I was an interpreter by first grade.
For your parents?
For my parents, exactly. And I was the one that was filling out our paperwork to enroll for school every year.
Look at that. Okay. All right. So going back to your fitness story. So, you're a hustler, 15 years old, you get a job, you join Ballet's Totally Fitness, you get a gym membership, and that was just like your introduction to fitness and like a healthy lifestyle?
Yep,
What was the big kind of draw, or why did you keep coming back?
I think for me, it was more of an outlet because I wanted to feel and look a certain type of way. I think growing up with, so my dad's side of the family is a little bit more like fair, like my skin complexion, and my mom's a little bit more fair skinned. So they have light skin, colored eyes, some of my family members, and I grew up with a lot of
Mexican with colored eyes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So a lot of my family members, I grew up with my mom's side of the family a little bit more, and I was with the darker complexion.
Okay.
And so with that brought in a lot of teasing because at a certain point, because we didn't grow up with a lot of money, at a certain point we lived in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment with 15 kids all around my age, and then like 6 adults all in a 3-bedroom.
In this apartment?
In this 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment.
For how long?
For about like 3 years.
And what did you learn from that experience? That's interesting because when you look at that, I'm like, my first thought was like, oh my God, that is a lot. My second thought, which I just love so much, is like the grit, the hustle, like the work ethic that probably came from that. I don't want to lead the witness, but what was your biggest learning lesson from that part of your life?
I think I was little when that happened, but I think I want to say my childhood was really fun. There was a lot of competition in a sense of like with food, it didn't last very long. We all had to share it, or we'd even have to hide it sometimes from each other because we didn't want it to be gone. Like a bag of chips would be gone instantly. So it helped in a sense of one, being competitive, but also in a sense of just communicating with others and
like teamwork.
And lots of it and fun. I mean, it was super fun. From like, if I had to summarize it all, those 3 years were like super fun because I got a chance to have 15 other kids play with.
Yeah, a
like
lot of
tetherball
fun,
and
friendship, family, love. And how old were you from that period of your life?
I was in like 4th grade through 6th grade.
Okay.
So 4th, 5th, 6th. So I don't know what that looks like. I just would go off of the school years. Okay.
All right. Well, I want to transition now. You are in high school. You kind of catch the fitness bug. It benefits your life in a wide variety of ways. I know Mike, your husband, was a driving force in Fit Body. Bedros is technically his blood uncle, if you will. How did you meet Mike, and kind of how all that story came to be? And I want to say he's your high school sweetheart. I don't know, just saying.
Yeah. Well, I'm just kidding. It totally is. So actually, fitness was kind of what brought us together a little bit more as well, which is funny that I think about this because when I was 15, I was into the gym. Not a lot of my friends were into it, so I kind of did it on my own. And then with Mike, he grew up with Bedros, and his brother at the time was a personal trainer. So I think they took him into the gym for the very first time as well. And so at 16 years old, that's when he started his own fitness journey. And by the time we met, one of our good friends, Shayla, she had called me to say that she wanted to go see Mike because he had pulled his hernia. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, let's go see him. And so then from then on, I realized that he was into fitness. I was into fitness. Not a lot of our friends were into it.
Yeah.
So I think we bonded in that sense with the whole
fitness.
fitness. Yep.
And you guys went to the same high school together.
Went to the same high school together.
Okay.
So by April, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and then we ended up being prom dates together.
Look at
Yeah.
that. And I guess fast forward, we'll go back to, I guess, the fitness journey and all that. But you guys got married. It was an incredible experience. Why don't you tell us about that? You're expecting. There's a lot of things going on. So give us the update, what that, I guess, looked like over the last, probably 15 years.
Well, first I had my own career path. I wanted to be a flight attendant. I didn't really, growing up, thinking of myself as an independent person. I always was driven to do something for myself. Both of my parents were entrepreneurs, so that kind of was instilled in me at a very young age.
Like being independent.
Yep, being independent and everything. So I thought of traveling the world, doing that, and becoming a flight attendant was my outlet to like escape, essentially. And then when Mike and I started dating, obviously I didn't think I was going to marry him. Like, he's the one.
Yeah.
And but awesome guy, good head on his shoulders, and so we kind of kept it going. And then from then on, we started Fit Body at a super young age, 23 years old. So a lot of that relationship was just us developing together as our own person, but being in alignment with that growth. So I think that's what really helped our relationship, because we were both driven to do better for ourselves, and that kind of what elevated us to eventually find us as to finally get married. Because I think we focused so much on our career paths and developing as a personal individual that by that time we were good. I mean, there's still a lot to learn. We were like, we should probably focus on what we should do. And that's when the whole marriage conversation started happening.
Do you feel, ever since I met you, I was blown away, like 23 years old, like I said, I was in the brand for 4 years. I turned to my friend John and Karen, I'm like, who are these people? Like, very, like, to your praise. And I just love the humility, both. I mean, you are just such a close friend of mine. Your husband, Mike's like a brother to me, such a humble guy. I'm just so impressed. Like, do you think you had the maturity? Was that factory installed? Did you have to like learn and grow together? What did that look like to be able to launch a fitness franchise gym at 23 years old? Now, granted, you had support and you had mentorship, but that's still a very, very impressive feat. Like, where did that come from?
I think for myself, it was probably instilled in me as a young girl. I think a lot of it came from me figuring stuff out, because we grew up with so many kids around me that I had to figure out what I needed to do for myself. And then I think Mike also just felt, I don't want to speak for him, but I think he also felt like he needed to do something that was going to make him be a better person in general. So I think we both kind of had that same mindset growing up.
Yeah.
That eventually led us to taking this path and betting on ourselves. And I think also starting super young and having nothing to lose was also part of it as well, because we were just so young and we're just like, let's just go for it. We don't have any big commitments, so let's just do it.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about your role in HQ, and then also Mikey's role, who's one of our successful franchise business coaches. You are our newly appointed event coordinator, which such is an awesome thing, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I do want to spend a little bit more time on just the earlier. So you launched in 2016. At the time this recording is 2024, so you're 8 years in. When you look back, 30,000 foot view, like, what was the big highlight? And then what would you look back, like, what was the big challenge of you launching a business with your, now husband? I mean, give us the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much good that I sometimes forget about the bad, because I feel like the bad is part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it helps you grow. So I don't really see it as bad. But as far as the bad goes, I think a lot of it came from us not having an idea of how it was going to play out. I think being in a franchise, that totally helped us in a sense of like giving us the play, but it was all up to us to execute that play and then see how it goes. And we were able to make necessary pivots that required our facility to do so it could grow. And with the help of the franchise, we were able to get out of those bottlenecks that we ever encountered. But there have been so many good things that came from it. For example, having to manage our own time, right? Like, we were able to take a nap. I guess not in probably not in a few months because I'll probably be a mom and I will be a mom
Yes,
and
you
I won't
will.
be able to I won't be able to sleep. But like I was able to take naps in the middle of the day if I needed to. I didn't have to clock in or clock out, which was really cool. And it's just having that freedom of knowing that I am in control of my own income was also nice to know that however much I put it, like however much work I put in is essentially a reflection of my lifestyle, of how I live.
Totally.
So yeah.
What would you say from, I guess, like an accountability perspective? So you guys are 23 years old. You launched the business, and to your credit, I mean, certainly the franchise has been there from the very beginning of support. But as we both know, I mean, launching in 2016 compared to launching in 2024, just night and day in terms of the amount of support that we have. So to your credit, you and Mikey are just complete hustlers and figure it out, type of people.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that, your secret sauce, if you will, in a second. But how did you, when you first launched the business, because a lot of times spouses come into the business and you have a husband and wife, and there's a lot of things that need to be executed in the business. How did you figure out, okay, whose role was this, whose role was that?
I think we both learned or kind of learned pretty early on that he was very much a systemized and processed person.
Oh, yeah.
Like he took care of the back end and then I essentially took care of the front end. So I was really comfortable with talking to people and making sure that people were having a good time while they were working out.
Yep.
And so we essentially kind of broke it up into those two roles. Like I took care of like the client experience end of things.
Yep.
And then he took care of making sure that the memberships were being taken care of, the billing, everything that has to do with running the business was taken care of. And so I think that's where we worked really well together.
Now, when you launched the business, did you know that from the very beginning? Or was it
Yeah.
a situation where it's like, then you launched it, then you just kind of like naturally realized like, oh, I'm good at the front of the house and then Mikey's good at the back of the house. How did that come to fruition?
No, we definitely didn't know what our strengths were. I think
Okay.
we just figured it out as we went
Okay.
with the flow of things.
Yeah.
For sure. But I was very hesitant to coach. Like that's something that I did not, I was not passionate about. I was
Why?
not passionate about like being on the mic and being go, go, go.
Or I
super
should say,
happy.
not why passionate, but why hesitant?
Because I didn't know if I had the capacity for it.
Okay.
And then eventually I developed it. And now I can confidently say that I do.
Oh, yeah.
But when we first started, it was a one coach model, right? We
Yep.
didn't have any idea what the two coach model was. And so Mike would actually be on the floor and he would demo and start the warm up part of the workout because I was afraid of public speaking. Like I would get nervous. I just people staring at
Yeah,
me
yeah,
that just
yeah.
made me feel so uncomfortable. And he was fine with it. I think he would, or at least he held it in really well. So he did that. And as soon as the demo was over, with the warm up, then I took over. So, and I never really thought about how that even looked in the client's lens. Like, how come Mike let us or started the workout?
Yeah, yeah.
And then during the workout, it's kind of like I took over. Like, all right, guys, let's go.
Transition.
But once like everybody was in their own stations, that's when I felt comfortable to lead the workout. And then I think at the end, like just through repetitions, I was more comfortable with the people that were there.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I felt more comfortable to start the workout from start to finish.
How long did it take you by the time you transitioned to kick off the workout from the beginning?
I probably not long. I think I want to say like a month or two.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because by that time I kind of knew people already and I knew their names and I knew what their strengths were in the workout. So I felt confident with starting the workout. But yeah, I want to say it took about a month or two.
Yeah. Well, this is certainly about you, but it reminds me of my better half, Tatiana, when we
Yeah.
first launched in 2012. It's interesting because she has a introverted type personality. And what you said is so true in our business. When you start getting to know the clients, it's exponentially
Yeah.
easier to be able to pour into them, coach them, love on them. When you don't know them, it's way more challenging. So it's actually the hardest at the very beginning,
Yeah.
both from a skill set and relationship business, and it gets easier. But I remember the first, handful couple of months, I trained every single session. And, Tatiana was there, kind of like the flip. She was in the back end doing all the process work.
Oh, interesting.
And it got to the point where it's like a few months in, I'm like, babe, I'm going to die. And she's like, I can't coach. I don't have the personality. And then finally, like a month later, I was like, I'm literally going to die. I need you to help, just 2 days a week. And she did. And now we just celebrated a 10-year anniversary this past weekend, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And literally like dozens of clients are like, we miss Tatiana coaching, because, her roles, shifted a little bit.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show it's a learnable skill.
Yep.
And, we grow within the brand. What I love about the brand, especially coaching in our business model, it's like a pressure cooker. You need to be able to be great at customer service. You need to be able to build relationships. You need to be able to public speak. You need to be able to shoot video. I mean, there's so many things. So this experience grows you, and you can just obviously see it, from your experience as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And it's so funny because I recently saw a video of Tatiana on the mic in one of the videos that I end up seeing. I'm like, oh, look, it's Tatiana. She was like on the floor having a good time. And I'm like, this is so awesome.
Well, it just reminds me of the same kind of hesitancy you had for the first month of that, like the first 5 minutes of the demo and explanation.
Yeah.
It's just part of the process.
It's part of it, yeah.
So Marlene, knowing you for, since 2016, seeing your operation, I have some thoughts on why you and Mikey has been so successful. But from your perspective, if you could, I guess, explain from your lens 1 or 2 reasons you've been successful, why would you say that's the case?
Yeah, I think one of our secret sauces would probably be having the ability to figure things out as they come.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's things sometimes don't work out the way you plan it to, and then we know that that's just part of the process, and we figure out new ways to create processes for whatever was happening, and we just move forward.
Yeah, totally true. And I feel like both of you just take the good, the bad, the ugly in stride. And I think you need to do that as a business owner. I mean, at the end of the day, we have the framework, we have the business plan, we have hundreds of locations that have been successful, but guess what? Like, nothing's perfect. Our organization is perfect. It just doesn't exist, right? So there's things that are awesome that happen, and there's things that suck, and you got to deal with the suckage. You just need to be able to adapt and overcome. You and Mikey have done that extremely well. One thing that I would also really, really acknowledge you on is your client experience. I mean, the care that you put into your clients is top notch. You are regularly featured as one of our top locations, being able to source case studies. Blake and Allie, who are on our media team amongst other teams as well, they frequently visit East Orange, and they always rave just about how the clients are just so welcome. They feel that love, and you just make them feel like $1,000,000, and that shows. So that's another point that I just want to acknowledge you on, but also to showcase to our audience what really takes. Because yes, fitness is our product. Okay, that's the service that we provide, but we are in the people business first and foremost, and you and Mikey do that so well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Totally. Now, one other question before we kind of talk a little bit about your HQ role. We talked about Mike and your husband and, the family affair, but you also work with your sister, Michelle. You have an awesome team, Hannah and Joseph, and there's, many other coaches as well. But how is it working with your sister? And you've kind of made this like family environment. Yeah. So what does that look like? And I think it's important to, showcase to our audience, who many are like, going through the vetting process right now, and they're interested in bringing their family on board, or maybe not, but it happens frequently. So what does that look like? What are the pros and cons, if you will?
Yeah. Well, initially, when we brought my sister on, my idea of it, I think being big sister is her being under my wing, and essentially, I knew that being a part of the franchise required us to see these awesome, like high level lead speakers at World Conference, and just the growth mindset that the franchise, I think, as a brand has, was something that I wanted her to be a part of, because she was kind of in the phase that she was in her life was not so, she was kind of going through like, what do I want to do with my life? So I was like, well, work with me.
So you're the one proactive that kind of shared that vision.
I did.
Okay,
so
cool.
I did it in the intent.
Like the good big sister that you are.
Yeah, doing it with the intent of her growing with her own self, like more personal development. I felt like we were in that realm already with Mike and I, and so I felt like I wanted her to be a part of that as well. And I never really saw her working with me long term. I just wanted her to be a part of what we are building, and having her find her own venture.
So you looked at more, I mean, wanted to be like part of it, but also too, just like a personal growth platform.
Yep. I wanted it, that was my approach in the beginning. To help her develop herself as a person with a good headspace, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
And then it kind of developed into her enjoying what she does because we kind of grew together because she was probably half a year. Like she joined us maybe half a year after we opened our doors.
Okay.
So she was part of that whole
Oh,
process
wow.
of going from, year one fit body to now year 8. So she kind of knows the ins and outs. And I think now
Well, she was a teenager then.
she was, yeah, I think she was
Yeah.
18 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She was 18 years old when that
Look
happened.
at you
So,
guys.
yeah, so that was my intention for me, at least in the beginning, was to have her be in a better position with her job because she was working at like Speedy Cash. The girls that were there were like just negative. They would eat pizzas all the time. She was just not in that good space of her own like health journey.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I wanted to tell her like, hey, just come work with me. Like it's great environment. Clients are amazing. And so she is now head of our administrative work at East Orange. And now she's doing sales for our UTP Ultimate Transformation Program.
Heck yeah.
Ultimate Transformation Program.
Our UTP, which is our
Yeah.
signature program, and how we, give awesome fitness and fat loss results to our clients in the first 6 weeks. And the fact that Michelle oversees that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, yeah. It's been amazing. And like I didn't mention this, but there really is Michelle and I didn't really have a good relation. We weren't really close growing up.
Really?
And actually her working with me has brought us a lot closer together.
Actually, I
Mm-hmm.
knew that, but it's been such a long time since you actually communicated that because the last handful of years, it's like you're two peas in a pod. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
So it
cool.
worked out well.
That's cool. All right, so now kind of the latter part of the conversation, I just want to bring all our audience up to speed. Not only have you been a friend, a franchise partner, multi-location owner, really been doing incredible things with you and Mike and Michelle and your whole team, but now, as of 2024, you joined our HQ team, which I'm so grateful, and we had a big a hole and void in our events department. So now you are event coordinator, and you were recruited intentionally, and just from your success. So what does that look like? What do you do for the brand? How do you support our franchise partners? How do you support me? I'm so grateful for all the things that you do for me. So
Thank you.
I want to start there and just give you the platform to showcase what you do.
Yeah, so as of December 2023, I am now currently the event coordinator for Fit Body headquarters, which is awesome. And I think that is in the realm of client experience. I think that now instead of being more member focused, now it's franchising, like franchise partner focused.
Yeah.
And I want to, because I take client experience pretty I want to say I take client experience that is everything.
Seriously,
So if I'm able to do that with our franchise partners when it comes down to masterminds, elite trainings, I feel like
World Conference.
World Conference, exactly. I feel like that's just something that I love doing.
Yeah. Well, it's been such an incredible ride. And yeah, you've come in a very short period of time. You've been able to clean things up, execute things. And granted, you were handpicked for a good reason. I'm just so grateful for your interest to do so. What would you say, and granted, it's very new to begin with, what would you say is the big challenge to start? And then or for the role? And then what would you say is your biggest fulfillment for the role to date?
Biggest challenge for being the event coordinator.
Yeah.
I want to say just kind of relearning working with others because Mike and I have been part of, I mean, we were essentially, the owners of our own business. So we had our own processes and systems that we create, but now there's already something that's already created. There's a lot of things that HQ has done that allows me to kind of build my own process, which is awesome. But at the same time, too, there's a lot of partnerships with like World Conference happening, meetings that require multiple people to have more heads together to create this awesome experience for people, which was a not challenge, but more so like something that was different for me because Mike and I was just be us two versus now it's like 10 of us.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I feel like that's also a pro in why I like it because now it's like we're all driven. It's not just Mike and I. We have those discussions where our goal is the outcome, which is a great experience, and I feel like we're all on that, like rowing in the same direction. So I think that's the best part about being part of Fit Body headquarters event coordinator.
Heck yeah. And this year in 2024, the theme of the year is client experience,
great.
and you're
Yeah.
just well positioned for that role. So,
Yeah.
all right, my last question is just to, just to shine a little bit more on the personal life. And I want to congratulate you and Mikey so much, but you just shared the news of your little baby boy, which this episode will air sometime this summertime. So it will probably be just before your little baby boy is due. I want to say August 1st is the date.
Yep.
So yeah, kind of share a little bit about that and kind of what's your vision for 2024 and 2025 with your new family member coming on board.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much I have as far as becoming a mom. But I also know that if I plan and it doesn't go that same way, I know I'm going to figure it out some way or another. So I'm honestly taking it day by day, month by month. But I do envision, obviously, a strong partnership with my husband to continue to do that. Communication, of course, and just continue to do business as usual.
Heck yeah. With a little bundle of joy,
little bundle of
joining
joy.
the
Yeah,
Team Zakarian
exactly.
and Team Fit Body for that matter.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll see how that. I never envisioned myself being a mom. I never thought of having a family. So now that I am pregnant, I'm really excited for what this new life is going to take me. Yeah, where this new journey is going to go.
Well, I'm so happy for you, so happy for Mikey, and just so happy for your family and our HQ family because we're just going to get better together with you guys. So.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so when we put a bow on this, my last question for you, Marlene, is, people watching this podcast is either they're new franchise partners, just joined the brand, just still trying to soak it all up, or a lot of potential franchise partners doing the vetting process. And, there's someone listening to this or watching this, they know they need to take that leap of faith. There's something bigger for them. And, FitBody could be that next effort that's going to give them financial fulfillment, financial and life fulfillment as well. But there's probably something, just like you or I, when we're going through this process years ago, that little voice, that little inner critic, for whatever reason, saying, hey, there's danger, there's some concern. What do you say to that person? I guess, what's your parting piece of advice or wisdom?
I think I would just say to just go for it. Just if you are confident in the person you are and you know that you can do anything, just do it. I don't know what else to add to that, but you have nothing to lose. Just bet on yourself and just go for it.
Love that. Like Nike's do it. And I heard this adage, don't bet on the S&P 500, bet on the S and Me 500.
Exactly.
And anytime you can invest in yourself and you, typically speaking, that's going to be a long-term, very positive investment. So
Totally.
Wise, sage words, Marlene. Well, thank you so much, first and foremost, for being on the show. Before I want to wrap, I just want to acknowledge you just for just being a beautiful soul. And it's been an incredible nearly decade of befriending you. Mike is awesome. I just feel so connected with both of you. I'm so grateful for your partnership as awesome franchise partners, awesome coaches. You've done such an incredible job representing our brand, growing awesome communities here in Orange County, Southern California. And I'm just so grateful for you to be on the journey to help support this bigger vision of inspiring fitness and changing lives. So thank you so much for being you. And I'm so grateful.
Thank you. Same here.
All right, friends. Well, I know you got amazing value from this episode. My only ask is like this video so that we can keep producing this content for free. And remember that no one is coming to save you. You must save yourself, and the time is now. We will see you in the next episode.